Okay, hello everyone. Okay, today we want to look at the nested. Alright, what does nested actually mean? And we're going to look at using an example of the for loops. So, in short, the nested for loop. Loops basically there are quite a number of them. Okay, your while loops. Okay, some of you probably use the for loop before repeat until loops. So they are actually iteration. But when you have a loop within another loop, okay, in programming or in coding, we actually consider it as nesting. Alright, so if you have a loop within another loop, basically we call them as nested loop. And here is a simple example of a loop, okay, within another loop. Okay, ignore the programming language. We're just looking at the structure. So you have a small for loop here, okay, for your j inside a larger for loop, which is for the I. Okay, the easy way to understand the loops is to associate it with something that we see every day. And I'm going to use the typical example of a clock. Alright, now if you think of the clock, basically the clock has the minute hand and the hour hand. Okay, the minute hand must move 60 times, right, before the hour hand actually move one time. Okay, right, so the minute hand will move another 60 times, then the hour hand will move one time. Now, how does that actually associate with the nested for loop? Well, it works very much the same. Okay, so when the control actually goes into this outer for loop, I use the word outer for loop. Alright, once it goes into the outer for loop, it will go into the inner for loop. So for this particular example, j in range of 3, this loop will run 3 rounds, 3 cycles. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, but when this loop finish, the control get passed back to the outer loop. So the outer loop for the I will actually add one more. Okay, so once this I actually add once more, the I is now running on the second cycle or the second loop. So it will go into the J loop over here, the inner for loop, and you will run another 3 times. Okay, so very similar like the situation of the clock. Okay, so the inner loop will run multiple times. Okay, pass control back to the outer loop, then go into the inner loop again and run multiple times, and then pass control back to the outer loop. Okay, and all this will continue until the outer loop actually finish its execution. So basically that is how a nested for loop structure runs or operate. Okay, alright, the inner loop actually run very much a lot more time than the outer loop. Okay, now hopefully this will clarify some of your coding logic errors that you probably will have encountered. Okay, so I hope this basically helps you to understand the nested loop better, right, that I see a lot of students have problem with.